Hello, everyone. You're watching Let's Talk About Prepping. I'm Tyler, your host, and in this live stream, we're going to chat about the skills and education that a person might want to have for the upcoming 20, 30 years. That is assuming that we don't have some catastrophic economic collapse or major SHTF situation, assuming things carry on more or less like they seem to be and maybe even get better. Let's say that most of the things we talk about in this community don't happen, and we more or less need to get by in the status quo. I think a lot of preppers are more or less raising their kids like they were raised, and I'll be honest, I think that's a big mistake. Was just chatting about this with Prepper's daughter, and we don't know what children will need to be prepared for in 20 or 30 years to be ahead of their peers. In 30 years, the equivalent of an aircraft mechanic may well be a spacecraft mechanic, and I don't see a lot of people rearing their kids to be ahead of the curve on that kind of thing. I don't see a lot of preppers talking about how to prepare their kids specifically for an SHTF situation. Seems that a lot of prepper kids just sort of get to be raised like a mainstream American child. And that's fine. I'm not going to judge anybody else on how they raise their children. But I am curious on people's opinions on what even someone like myself, being 30 years old, hopefully I've got, at least 60 years ahead of me. So assuming that I get into some more advanced education, what would be valuable to me? I definitely think computer sciences is one thing that's probably not going to go away unless we have an EMP that destroys our entire grid. Anything to do with automation, making yourself relevant after automation destroys most of the jobs. These are things that are probably going to be valuable for quite a while into the future, barring catastrophe. Business probably isn't going to go away. Medicine, obviously. Now, that might be a little hard for someone my age to get into in a real way, but definitely possible. But what are the things that a person can go back to school for, or a young person should go to school for? What are the career fields that are probably going to be relevant in 10, 20, 30 years? Those are things that I think a person should be preparing for on top of SHTF, collapse, whatever, because no matter how likely a lot of imminent disaster type situations may seem, we also can't really say that the new modern infrastructure isn't capable of weathering those things in new and exciting ways. So maybe a giant EMP happens, but it's not as bad as we think, and we actually just have to get by with the world the way it is. So I think that there isn't necessarily as much conversation in the prepping community about preparing for things such as just a regular continuation of life. In fact, a technological and evolving way of life rather than just a stagnation or a collapse or some kind of catastrophe. I really don't hear a lot of preppers talking about how to be ready to adapt to automation or the technological singularity, or just a lot of these things that we sort of accept are going to happen, but are not nearly as interested in preparing for as the need to can food or start fires with things besides a lighter, or a lot of the things that we sort of focus on so repetitively in this community when there's a lot of other conversation to be had. I think it's definitely worth talking about what we want to be prepared for even if these things do happen. I mean, even if there is an economic collapse and millions or billions of people die off, hopefully 10, 20, 30 years down the road, we do manage to scrape back up to something like where we're at now. Hopefully we still have the blueprints for the technology, and someday in the future, if we are the ones who survive, what are we going to do with all of that information, all of that technology, if we're not the ones who are capable of reestablishing civilization with it? Hey, Hooples, how you doing? So I do think that if we're going to talk about surviving, we need to talk about surviving in both post SHTF situations where maybe we're the ones who need to rebuild the internet. I mean, do any of us in the prepping community know what we would do to reestablish the internet? I don't think so. Let alone remain relevant in a world where the internet dominates almost all forms of the workplace. One of the things that I would probably go back to school for is internet marketing or internet businessmanship, just because, I mean, how else that's where the business marketplace is in the future. I mean, there is brick and mortar, and there probably will always be, but if a person wants to be where the action is happening and relevant where the action's happening, then you need skills in the internet marketplace. The first Cylon War. I've never watched Doctor Who, and I probably should because it's universally loved. Like, I can say I've almost never watched even a little bit of it. That's always almost surprised me that it's such a big deal. Oh, that's right, Battlestar Galactica. Haven't watched much of that either. But I actually would also like to get into that. Apparently, I'm a little uncultured. No network computers. Yeah, when Skynet goes active, all the network computers, nuclear war, refugees, killer robots. Yeah, actually, there's been a couple things lately. I've been getting into a lot of TV show lore, YouTube videos, just getting into the backstory of TV shows, some nerdy stuff. And I've heard interesting things about Battlestar Galactica. Now, is there an actual Battlestar named Galactica, or is it just a really cool name? I've always wondered that. Like, making a light bulb. Yeah. How many of us have any clue how to rebuild any bit? Oh, there is a Battlestar named Galactica. What is a Battlestar? Is it just a ship called a Battlestar, or is it actually a star that battles? But no, I do find that interesting, Hooples. We're almost in the age where it is a ship. Makes sense. Bring home the cat. I don't understand what bring home the cat part means. But no, we are almost in the age where an individual could nearly have the ability to recreate bits of technology. Like, I have the knowledge of how to make a light bulb available to me. I mean, it would probably take quite a bit for me to obtain all the machinery to do so and a good stock of the raw material to do so. Hey, Howie, how you doing? Just talking about what skills would be valuable to have for the next 20 years, SHTF or no SHTF, and post SHTF. But we were just talking about how many people, questioning how many people even in the prepping community are prepared to sustain modern society or rebuild modern society outside of storing food and knowing how to build fires and stuff. And a lot of people, I mean, most people in this world do not know how to uh, do anything to do with technology, manufacture technological items, reproduce the processes to manufacture those technological items. Yeah, nursing will almost always be, or just anything in the medical field will always be relevant. Until we socialize all medicine and make you our slaves. Not biting. Well, I mean, in a ideal society, the medicine you'd be like a all medicine would be provided by like a monk society, right? It would just be like something that they sacrifice their, you know, uh, pursuit of life and liberty and happiness and all that to serve people because it's like the higher good. I don't know, for the same reason that monks always do that kind of stuff. Mental illness, likely. Religion, being brainwashed to think that they should. I don't know. But there's a lot of, monk societies that would go around doing stuff just because, well, largely because in that traditional society, people were expected to provide for them, and they did because, that was the way that society worked. I'm not saying it's a sustainable process, but I'm being a little bit hyperbolic. I do think that medicine costs more than it should, especially considering that it is so sacred, Anyways, don't want all of my live streams to descend into similar things. I do think that medicine is a very valuable skill set to have pretty much no matter what happens ever. So that one's pretty much top of the list. But pretty much any form of technology, the more basic and necessary to survival, the better. But humans are technology driven. We've evolved with technology. It's very arguable that as soon as we started with fire or tools, the ones who were not smart enough to use those things, the ones who were not as well adapted to use those things, evolved out. I mean, that there's a reason that we have such dexterous hands and various other things that are just so well suited for technology. And it'd be sort of foolish to ignore, the fact that we thrive the better our technology is. And I'm doing well, Howie. Thank you. Missed that. That's true, Hooples. And I do like that because it's true. When it comes to analytical ability, computers will always beat people. But I don't know. I mean, nursing is definitely harder to automate, but that's just a really advanced Roomba. Maybe I need to get it like a shirt so that I can go viral. Nursing is just really advanced Roomba. It's the shock value of it. It's the outrage. Nurses everywhere. Yes, no, it's definitely an advanced robot. You can't just like. It's very far from a automation assembly type of thing. Automotive assembly. Oh, I'm sure Hooples. I just mean, if most automation, if a person can do it, that person can be taught to program it into a machine, or have the machine centralize the people who can do it, so that the things that need outmoded to the human can be prompted to the person who needs to go and check it and approve the course of action. But you end up with nurses who are running 10 robots rather than 10 nurses running around. I would actually love to have a good stock of chloroform. We were actually, Prepper's daughter and I were just discussing childbirth and C-sections and stuff like that, and how if you have to cut somebody open, like for C-section or for any form of surgery, it's because they're going to die otherwise, so you're not necessarily able to worry about them dying from pain, shock. But yes, I'd love to have some chloroform. Yeah, I mean that's yeah. If you cut them open, they die. You might do it to try to save a baby, or because they're going to die anyways. So you might as well try it under the remote hopes that you can do something. It's not obviously anything seriously invasive. They're just going to die, but I think there's a remote chance, if you have people who are skilled in it, that a C-section could be performed. I think that the Hooples would be very interesting. I won't ask you to make a video about it, but maybe sometime in the distant future, about nursing and automation, or just your views on automation. Just because I plan on talking about it quite a bit, because between that and different technological singularity topics, I think they're very relevant. Because if we don't have a major SHTF anytime soon, that is the next major threat to all preppers, is automation. It's about time that it really starts getting focused on, because if none of these things happen too soon, we are within, I think, 10 or 20 years of that major shift where automation takes all the jobs, but maybe doesn't provide universal basic income. Which, if half of the people in the economy lose their jobs, universal basic income is the only way that people get by. That'll be a fun video. I can't wait to pitch that one to the prepping community. High Desert Pioneers in the house. How you doing? P.S. Yang. I'm not sure I know who that is. No, that doesn't sound very fun at all, Hooples. I prefer the doctors with the plague masks, personally, Howie, but Teach their own. I saw it. I didn't see you respond to the fact that I was eating tuna. I mean, I'm pretty much gonna die of mercury poisoning around now, right? Or is it plutonium 265 or something? But yeah, for anybody who didn't see Hoople's health alert on his community tab, he received through his employment a warning that there is a cluster outbreak of pneumonia, undiagnosed pneumonia in China. So actually, Hooples, while I've got you here, I'm sort of curious. Is that from the health ministry? Okay. Because you're employed in the medical community. Tunas for cats. I'm a pretty cool cat, so I need some tuna sometimes. Bird flu? Interesting. Okay, so it's a rare... So this is not the kind of alert that they just send out willy-nilly. But I'm curious, is it... I mean, they're worried it'll hop, or what? What is the what are you supposed to do with that information that they're giving it to you? Are you going to increase your outbreak preparedness supplies? Like, are you guys actually going to make a budgetary consideration because of this, or is it just a friendly heads up kind of thing? Does the fact that there's so many people that were undiagnosed at first, does that say that there's likely going to be a much larger outbreak pretty soon once the people that they contaminated start showing up? Oh, but you said it's not human to human. Okay, and you said that again there. Seems it is from seafood, but details are scarce. SARS-like, no human to human. You're in charge of the hospital, so you look harder at some stuff in... Yep. You're going to have to help me with ED. Yes, ready for a pandemic. More that they cannot figure out what is causing it, huh? Also China, so they lie. And SARS started at this time of year in 2002. Emergency department. Okay, gotcha. I didn't know if that was a field of epidemic study or something like that. Yeah, lots of Chinese here. I've been watching videos about China and, well, multiple countries. I've actually been trying to start learning a lot more about foreign countries and their culture and their motivations and stuff like that. And lately that's involved China. It's very interesting. Yeah, thank you, Hooples. That's interesting because lately it has been my personal I've sort of had a little nag in the back of my head to start focusing on pandemic or um, just, viral outbreak preparedness. Um, Anytime a sniffle goes around or a stomach bug goes around, when you pay attention to how quickly everybody has it, you quickly realize you would almost have no warning if if a pandemic moved as fast as the sniffles do or as fast as stomach bugs do. I mean, I work in the public, and I would not have very much warning to just quit going to work all of a sudden if I wanted to avoid people who were contagious, and especially if they were contagious before it became obvious. What about shower curtains? All right, see you, Howie. Thanks for dropping in. Yeah, Hooples. Yeah, it is interesting. The physics, I guess you could say, of the dynamics of a viral pandemic. If it kills too fast, then it doesn't have the time to spread. I used to really like pandemic fiction, like The Stand or Andromeda Strain and stuff like that, where they talk about what the perfect pandemic would be. I think Captain Trips from The Stand is probably one of the best written ones that I've read. Yeah, exactly, Hooples. Preppers can just only hope that it's a disease that just quickly wipes everybody else out, so there's all this stuff sitting around ready to get used. So, how about computer science? I don't hear a lot of preppers being into computers. Um, I actually want to learn some different coding or programming software language just because I think that that would be handy. I think it'd be cool to be able to hack isn't the right word, jailbreak maybe apps so that you can use cell phone apps without internet access for ones that require internet access. Um, I think that a lot of preppers like to eschew technology or especially high technology like computer technology. They think that as soon as certain situations happen, we'll just stop finding benefit from cell phones that have apps in them, computer technology, basically. But it's going to be just as useful for the things it's useful for in that situation. And if you have the ability to turn on a computer or a phone and you open that program and you find out that it doesn't work unless you've had internet access within the last 90 days, if somebody in your group is able to go into the programming of that app and reprogram it, delete the line or rewrite the line of code that says allow internet access or whatever, that'd be a pretty valuable skill. In fact, that would be a marketable skill in a post SHTF situation where people can bring their phones or their computers to you and have you tweak their computer programs so that they can use them in the post SHTF situation. A ballistic calculator app. Exactly. HTTP. I haven't heard that one before, but there are really just a lot of apps that are valuable. Uh, really, just a cell phone is an almost indispensable tool if you take the time to fill it with the right technology. But yeah, Hooples, that's actually been one of my uh, video topics that I want to get into, just because it is a part of a topic on the market that hasn't necessarily been cornered very strongly yet. Um, is bringing actual technology and computer stuff into it, which is one of the reasons why it's one of the things that I'd like to get into if I get back into education is uh, software language, basically. Being able to go in and look at code and know what you're looking at and be able to change things to do what you want. Because a lot of people are going to be really bummed out if they go to play Candy Crush a year in, whenever they finally get their solar panels figured out. They charge their cell phones up. They have a night where they go to play their cell phone game and it doesn't work. And nobody in their group knows how to mess with a cell phone app program because all they know how to do is can meat. And I value the ability to can meat. I think that we all know how to do it or have the ability to learn how to do it available to us. And I'd love to see, progress, new topics. Actually, the story of Angry Bird and the game it was based on is a very interesting story, which I'm not going to relate here, but it is interesting. Some of the guys who designed those viral app games, there's interesting stories behind it. Yeah, so High Desert Pioneer says you can set up routers for a security network around your property or as repeaters for community communications. So yeah, you could get, for instance, um, uh, laser, motion detectors or laser detectors like are used at the end of your garage to make sure your door doesn't close on anybody. I guess those are probably infrared light detectors, but you can set those things up. Those are not expensive to set up for smart home setups. You could set up a whole perimeter with smart security with Wi-Fi routers and set up a protocol to alert a cell phone in your pocket every time somebody crosses the perimeter. I mean, that would be a pretty nice security system if you had enough electricity and all that stuff running for you. Yeah, Hooples. It'd be a while before those videos came out. I'd be looking to take courses in that first, but it is something that's on the list of possibility. The adverts. Well, that's the thing. If you were in an SHTF situation and you weren't worried about potentially getting sued for having, for jailbreaking apps and stuff like that, you'd be able to rewrite the program at code level to delete the apps, make it so it doesn't need internet access and all that stuff. But those are all things that if you ever ended up having the internet again and the cell phone or the software owning companies were around, they might detect it in your phone and, fine you over it, basically. Yeah, driveway alarms. Yeah, but basically, I mean, High Desert Pioneer has thought about this before. There are things that a person can do, and there are definitely channels that have done it. But it's definitely a niche thing, and I'd like to see it becoming trendy to talk about integrating technology into your preps, um, if only as a way to sprinkle a little sugar on top. I know that a lot of preppers see technology as fallible and just not a part of what they want prepping to be about. And I get that. I get the very basic, sustainable, traditional, time tested skill set approach. But at the same time, we have technology for a reason. It makes our lives better for a reason. And if we want to continue and fortify our quality of life, we need to look at what we can do to bring technology into that. I'm never going to get excited about apps. That is a boomer mentality, Hooples. I'm pretty sure people said that about books. I mean, it inspires laziness because you didn't have to go and earn that knowledge for yourself. Okay, Hooples, I'm going to do a video about this, but I'm going to show you what is possibly my favorite present this year. I'm going to do a little bit of research about this before I really start advocating it. This is quite possibly one of the coolest things ever. So, I do agree with you about the Bic lighter thing. I think that, personally, I think that the ferro rod and flint and steel fad in the prepping community is silly. I get it. Bic lighters run out eventually. If everything just goes to complete shit and we never again have access to anything but the ferro rod that we bought that one day, then yes, you will use your ferro rod to start fires for the rest of your life. But I don't know if that's a world that most people want to live in. Anyways. No books and we'd all be ignorant but happy. That might be a fair argument. Maybe we'd all be happy if we just died of tooth infections at the age of 30 and then didn't know anything beyond how to give birth to pigs. That's fine. That could be fun. I mean, people did that and they had good lives. I think. You'll be dead before you run out of Bics. I don't know. They sometimes they run out of fluid. They just dry out in their case. Although some people do have 20 and 30-year-old Bics. So, anyways, favorite gift. I call it my lightsaber. Actually, if they didn't call this a flashlighter, I'm really disappointed in their marketing capabilities. But what this is a flashlight, and it can be very much. I don't know what it is because it was a Christmas gift. But I know that it came from Walmart, so it can't possibly be too horribly much. But flashlight with big, small setting and flash or strobe setting. But the cool part is the pop top. It's a USB charging one, and it has an arc lighter on the top. So it's a USB rechargeable flashlight with a electronic rechargeable lighter on the top that works really well. And I haven't done my research on it, but I'm pretty sure those last quite a while. I don't know if the electrodes wear out, but as long as the battery in that works, I think that is pretty much an infinite lighter. Exactly, Hooples. You can recharge it with your BioLite stove. Now check it out. I want to expand on this. I was telling Prepper's daughter, because Prepper's daughter is the one that got it for me. You could make those that plug into USB outlets and just have little electronic lighter. I'll show you. Let me get you a little piece of paper here. All right. So I don't know if you can really tell, but there are 4 electrodes on there, and they just make a little purple arc. Now, this thing makes a really high-pitched sound that, like, people over the age of 30 can't hear, but everybody else can. Sort of like that mosquito ringtone. Anyways, makes the electronic arc. You can actually see like a little plasma field around it. And if you just so much as touch paper to it, that's receipt paper, so it's having a hard time burning, but it's pretty darn cool. And as far as I know, it's pretty much infinite. I've actually seen something, a similar model with in a package with a little portable power bank that you use to recharge your cell phones and stuff. So between those two and a little solar panel, you would have pretty much infinite fire starting ability, along with the ability to charge other things. Yeah, exactly. Good flashlights are rechargeable, but having a little lighter on the back of it, I mean, that's just really cool. So yeah, it's quite possibly one of my favorite gifts. It's a little dorky because it's such a simple thing, but I mean, it's a very basic innovation. If you're gonna have a flashlight, you might as well have a lighter on it. And I'll admit, Hooples, I'm a little hesitant on the BioLite stove. I appreciate that it's an upgrade on a stove. I would need to carry one with myself and actually use it on a hiking expedition, a hiking camp out where I'm carrying it and using it. Because exactly, flashlighter. If they didn't call it that, I'm extremely disappointed. But it's cool. I mean, it's one of those. It's a basic, innovative merger of two things. It's like when they combined the horse and the buggy and made a car. Everybody liked that. They wondered why you hadn't done it before. Oh, High Desert Pioneer. I actually, I almost didn't talk about this yet because I knew somebody like you would go out there and trademark it before I could. But no, I mean it's not exactly a new technology, but imagine if you had a little USB dongle. Yes, that's just what you call those things that plug into USB things. But I mean, imagine if you basically like a flash drive size type thing, like a little thumb drive, but basically just a little lighter that plugs into any USB port that you can draw power from, like a cell phone or whatever, and provides you with a lighter. I think that's pretty cool. Thing is, High Desert Pioneer, I have video proof that you stole that idea. So, I mean, go ahead. We'll have our day in court. Now, if you want to fund the production of that kind of thing, then I'm all for it. Yes, but he will be rich and you are poor. I am poor. The joke's on you, though. I've already... Flashlight, fire started. That's a big one. Wow. Except, don't they have laser pens that can start a fire and therefore should double as a weapon? Oh, is that what that is? Dang, that is a very hot flashlight. Holy crap. That flashlight just started a fire because you put paper towel on the lens of it. I don't know that I want to be just using a flashlight that in its own nature can start fires because the glass is so hot. There you go, High Desert. We'll split it. You'll put forth the funds and all the capital and the risk, and I'll benefit from having talked about the idea on my YouTube channel. Sounds good. All right, more ideas. What skills or education fields will be valuable for the next 20 or 30 years? As advertised by Tyler Durden. Yep. I'll sell soap and flashlighters. Hydroponics. Okay. Food production, sustainable food production. I think that's pretty hard to argue with. Whether or not that means, like mega cows. I think we need to design some mega cows. Because preppers are just never going to get on board with sustainable food agriculture or alternative meat production. Radiation detection and decontamination. I like that. And I would pair that with just general environmental control, if you will, because if you throw in just any kind of pollutant, like for instance, chemical spills. Sometimes it might be hard to actually move away from a chemical leak nearby. I would do whatever I could to if my area was just generally being poisoned by, let's say there was a general collapse like an EMP and you live near a Dow chemical plant, it's time to move. But if you can't, then at least being able to provide yourself with a good, clean home environment and hazmat when you're out is a pretty good skill set. Self-contained hydroponics units. Plug into a solar panel with lights, lichen, and feed fish equals Insta food. Yeah, no, those actually... we live in a time where individuals like preppers could get systems that were basically only available to like military bunkers before to like produce all their own food and stuff like that. And yeah, that's actually one thing that I'd like to do if I get the channel to where it's an actual entity. The kind of things that I'd crowdfund for, like do Patreon stuff for, would be to actually set up self-sustaining food economy kind of thing. Sell one for 2,000. But all right, thanks for dropping in, High Desert. Catch you later. Good talking with you. But yeah, if you could actually set up a system that was easy for a small group to have somewhat sustainable food production from a very basic and blueprintable system, you sell them the kit and they just get it going and they have a running food production system. Yeah, that would be extremely marketable. Because the best the prepping community has is farming small game. And that's good. It's a pretty sustainable system. But the closer you can get to set it and forget it, the better. I'll be back. Yeah, fungi is good. I actually, I'm going to look into edible fungi. That sounds cheap enough that I could probably get into it on my current budget. And that would be pretty cool to have like a little thing of edible fungi going and have that be a little bit of a niche. I'm always looking for little niche topics, things that I can get into that other people aren't doing already. Um, because not necessarily to try to trend or uh, go big or anything like that, but I like doing things that no one else is doing yet because that's often valuable to somebody. And there's the chance that it'll catch on and go viral. $100 calories in a whole pound. Yeah, mushrooms don't necessarily have a lot of calories, but ideally you would find a fungi that does have more calories or is extremely packed in vitamins of some kind of trace nutrient that makes it not necessarily a calorie source, but a supplement to your actual calorie sources. But I don't know which fungi are that nutritionally dense. But yes, hi Acer. I guess I should check names rather than just chatting with people about their comments. How you doing tonight? All right, Acer. Now that you've joined us, what are a few? Yep, Hooples are to beat me to it. What new skills, education, what fields of education or other technology skills should a prepper or young person have for the next 10, 20 years? And not just preppers. I mean, definitely preppers or prepper YouTubers, but also children. I mean, you've got someone who's about to finish up high school, go to college, and they're worried about actually being successful in the marketplace for the next 10, 20 years. Aside from just trying to look at what markets are doing well or are going to do well next, I'm trying to look at what the future might actually hold in the next 10, 20 years and what a person wants to do to position themselves for that. Read widely. Yeah, that's fair. Are we reading fiction? Are we reading trade journals? Are we reading Forbes? Are we reading BuzzFeed articles? Yes. Okay. Just read everything. If no SHTF, then social skills. Drama, acting, and public speaking. Yeah, many do have bad skills in that. That's also my number one for if there's an alien invasion. If we ever find ourselves as the pet slave species to alien overlords, the ability to entertain them through unique human artistic ability is probably your only way to survive as an individual. Or just have really good genetic breeding stock. But there's nothing you can do about that. You just have to be born with it, like myself. Well, that mostly covers what I had so far. Couples, you missed the morning. Do you missed the warning, or have you caught up on that yet, there, Acer? Or are you rereading the chat from earlier? Basically, the warning on Hoople's page was, oh well, yeah, definitely save the place from dying there, Hooples. Um, so Acer, the warning from Hooples was about a cluster of pneumonia, undiagnosed pneumonia outbreaks in China. Oh, there we go. Might as well copy that myself. I really wish, I actually, far from being, I wish I was over 1,000 subscribers, not necessarily so I could monetize, but so I could live stream with my phone. So I'm not just stuck doing it at home with my laptop. And also so I could have my community tab open so I can reshare stuff like that or share people's videos and stuff. But you can't do that until you're at 1,000, which is a little bit of a bummer. Oh, come now, Hoopables. We're able to do amazing things with our phones. Very dumb things, but also amazing things. I guess I missed MERS. When was that? I mean, I'm looking it up now, but about 2,000 cases, 36% fatality. Wow. about 2017. Ebola hit before alerts arrived. Yeah, see, that's the thing is, I mean, I realize that with a real pandemic, they'd probably alert people really fast, but whenever a new flu strain or cold strain goes around, everybody's got it before there's any warning. And by warning, I mean I don't hear about it before everyone around me is sniffling or complaining about having some stomach bug. It's just like there's no warning. There's no time to, you know, call in sick and stay home. You just everybody around you is sick before you know it. But that's the scary part of a pandemic is everybody likes to think that they'll have all this warning or they like, oh, I saw it on the news, so I got to stay home before it reached me. That's optimistic thinking. I mean, there's every chance that everybody around you will be sick all of a sudden, and you will not have time to get home safely, with the certainty that you didn't expose yourself to it. Chances are that if you work and interact with people on a daily basis, even if that just means going to the store, which almost everyone does, if you're out and about on the day whenever exposure might happen, you're going to have to quarantine yourself if you care about not exposing the people you come home to. Basically, take the fear of catching the flu or the cold on any given year and multiply that by like 1,000. The Australian bushfire smoke has now reached Chile, 11,000 kilometers away, en route to Argentina. Cheap holidays in Australia. Yeah, I think if you're willing to fight fires, your vacation might be just about free. Ace, you're going to Mexico, huh? What part of Mexico? Thanks, Hooples. I have a rough idea. I'm trying to learn the uh, difference, the ratio between metric and standard. Metric and superior, as I prefer to call them. I'll be very disappointed if Acer is running drugs to Mexico and I don't get a cut. If anything's going down on my turf, I'm on in. Clearly, my turf extends from Idaho down to Mexico. Yeah, well, I mean, they work for me. See, I like them because they're traditional. They're a lot of them were, made for reasons, basic human reasons, like uh, how much a person could do in a day, or how much a person could carry, or things that a person could measure based off of intuitive reasons, not necessarily needing a base standard. This Wataneo Guerrero. Interesting. I have never heard that name before there, Acer. What's your motivation for going to that location? Hmm. Wow. Looks like a nice place. Huh. There's a lot of places in the U.S. that I need to visit before I go south. Maybe Canada. Canada's a little less deadly than Mexico. Warm Sun Beach. Yeah, those are three good reasons. Not the wide availability of drugs now, is it, Acer? It's all right. You can tell us. Oh, I'm sure they do, Hooples. Yeah, got to protect the tourist wallets. You know what I mean? Sangria. There's songs about that. Sangria is pretty good. A little bit of actual homemade sangria. Hmm. That's pretty cool, Hopefuls. I'd love to go to a ancient Mayan or, you know, ancient Central American culture city. Especially because I grew up Mormon, and Mormons believe in people that lived in the Americas uh, during biblical times, etc. So it sort of adds a different slant to the history of the American continent. Me? No, I'm extremely close to Canada. I'm within, yeah, rocket range of Canada. Family wedding. It was neat, very exploitative though. Yeah, no, Canada's an option. I would need to go through a little bit of paperwork to renew my or get my passport for the first time. I haven't been up there since I was a child, so didn't need a passport back then. But I would actually love to go up and kayak with hooples and stuff like that. Maybe take advantage of some of that universal health care. Am I right? Hooples will hook it up. Oh, come on, Hooples. You're telling me you won't just let anybody walk in? It's not just like a free-for-all in the hospitals? I can't just walk in and like order up some procedures like it's a McDonald's? It's all free? Well, I'm going to protest for that. I think I deserve that. I think that's what I'm gonna just quit my job, go live in the basement, and protest until free for Canadians. So now you're just being a racist, is what you're saying. All right. Bernie came and bought all your insulin. Listen, Hooples, if it helps, I've always liked Canadians. I fully support Trump buying Alberta. If the rest of you want to come along, that's fine. It's because we got all the good maple trees, but we don't use them like you do. Isn't that right? You're jealous of Vermont. That's most of what it is. The great state of Erica. That was a really funny video, Hooples. I laughed through that whole video of yours. See, all right, here's the thing, Acer. And this is me being an uneducated millennial, if you will. Go ahead. But I pay quite a bit of taxes here. I don't pay as many taxes as a Canadian, but I would like to have more personal payback for those taxes. Or at least like a little paper that says where they went, you know? But I don't know where they go. I'd like to say that they go to the National Defense Fund, but I'm pretty sure that like they get that through drugs or something. I don't know. But I don't know where all of our taxes go. But at least if I was like able to say I get this back directly, like that'd be nice. I know I get roads and stuff, but they're intentionally hazy about it. I definitely think that for how much money is being wasted in our government, we could probably get health care for the money that's being wasted. Not necessarily about taxes. I'm more about the fact that we are getting taxed and a lot of that money is getting wasted, and I'd like to be getting something back for it. Hey, Dill, how you doing? Well, Hooples, I know where it goes. I just mean the American budget is intentionally just a game of swapping. It's a shell game, you know. Um, my money goes into the government, disappears. What's in your blood, Dill Rogers? The flat tax? The flat tax is in your blood? So that's what I'm saying, Hooples, is like, what if they were like, hey guys, we found 5,000 people employed by the government who actually weren't doing very good in their jobs. We fired them, and we're paying for healthcare for everybody. I know that those numbers don't line up. My point being, there's a lot of waste in the government system. Governments are made to waste money by doing the same job that someone else could be doing. So I'd at least like to be getting healthcare back. All right, we need hypersonic missiles, Hooples. If we don't make hypersonic missiles, who is? And if they are, then we need to be making them too. So, you know, hypersonic missiles. I hope that was the one, Dill. Being regressive. That's in my blood too. Yes, Russia and China. Wait, they're aiming their hypersonic missiles at North Idaho? Dang it. Part of the reason I like it here is because I'm pretty sure no one's aiming missiles here. I should know better. I mean, I do live here after all. Makes this place a prime target. Directly at me. Yeah. I really need to turn location off on my phone. That way Russia and China can't aim their hypersonic missiles at my GPS location. No matter what I do to convince them, they will not be dissuaded from thinking that I am the major threat to their national security. You think 300 silo explosions would be enough to screw everything for everybody, Boobles? Waterproof AirPods. I mean, I guess. What's the point of having no wires and no plug-in points if they're not sealed? 300 megatons. Interesting. I mean, I guess I can see it, but it seems like a little too, not enough for like, I mean, what would that be? Nuclear winter is what you're saying? Really? From just 300 in the silo? Dang. I would think that would be pretty ideal with them being mostly somewhat contained in a very shallow underground location. Yeah, but a lot of our silos aren't in heavily forested areas, are they? Like, they're mostly in open plains. I just mean they probably wouldn't light off a bunch of cities or forests for burning. I mean, I believe that you know what you're talking about there. I just, that almost, that's not what it doesn't fit my understanding. Well, yeah, I mean, most of them are in like the plains states. It's big, wide open areas. I just mean depending on which ones they were, they wouldn't necessarily light off huge, massive fires. But yeah, yes, there's an amazing amount of nuclear weapons in the world, and it's much less than it was at one time. Hey, Joe Info, how you doing? Do I think Trump went too far with the threats? 52 strikes. I don't know anything about 52 strikes. Last I've heard, everyone's just still talking about the general being struck. I don't like the word assassination whenever it's a government sanctioned military strike on an individual. To me, an assassination is a little more stealthy and clandestine rather than we blew your dude up. But that's just me. I mean, I guess it technically is an assassination. Murdered. I guess Hooples. I guess I just. Yeah. Murder is anytime somebody kills somebody, it's murder. But the overtones that are being used by assassination, or I don't know, it's just not what I don't know. Did we assassinate Osama bin Laden when we sent in SEAL Team 6 and they came around the corner and blew him away? I mean, definitely got murdered, but yeah, I mean, I would argue that that one was closer to an assassination than sending a missile in. The asset was liquidated. We transferred his status. I guess Hooples, what I'm getting at is what's the difference between any of the other people that we've hit with missile strikes? And I'm not trying to belittle one or the other or make it okay because we assassinated so many thousands of people. But I mean, on the day-to-day basis that people get hit by drone strikes because we track them back to some location, I guess maybe we are assassinating all those people, but has it made America safer? No. No, I'm not really interested necessarily, to be honest, in arguing over whether or not we should have assassinated that dude. For one thing, I really don't have the background information to be able to say why I think that decision was made. When I look at it from the outside with almost no information, yeah, I do scratch my head and wonder why that was done. Why that was done under those circumstances. And yeah, I definitely don't like the potential for sowing reactionary hatred, but I don't like making my judgment without all the information, or at least as much information as they had or is available to me. Well, I don't know too much about who he was. A lot of what I've heard has been on the internet, so I don't know too much about what the news angle has been about Soleimani, I think his name is. Probably butchering that with my uncultured Western tongue, but sounds like depending on your perspective, he was either a really not cool dude or a national hero for some. So while I can understand that from a pure cult perspective of we kill people who don't benefit us or who might actually be a negative to us, it's also a bad idea to kill people's national heroes. So I don't necessarily agree with just, if he wasn't an active threat to us, killing somebody in such a way that it might cause an outrage reaction towards us, I don't like that. Well, yeah, Joe, I believe that, but when you're talking about war torn areas, what major figure in the military doesn't have a lot of blood on their hands? My question is, why do we? I just sort of want to know why we have, why we need to do that. That seems like a very high profile kill, possible, capable of bringing back, creating blowback. I just hope that there was good reasoning for why that guy had to go. And I definitely agree, Hoobles. When I saw that had happened, my first reaction was being bummed out that it seems like that's pretty much, calling out our next war. Yeah. I don't know. Like I said, I really don't know enough about the background of the situation to be able to make a informed statement on it. I just don't like if it was, if it's anything besides a good tactical decision. I don't like that, but I don't have the information to make that judgment. Yeah, that's the other thing, Hopeless, is um, maybe they were giving him cease and desist orders or requests before they did this, but it definitely seems like we go not a from a stance of not killing Iranians to just killing Iranians. Um, and yeah, without at least some kind of build up to that or public awareness that that might be a thing, it is definitely interesting to just sort of wake up one day and read, oh hey, we're killing Iranians. That's That's the thing that's happening. But yet again, I mean, maybe if I have done my research on the topic, but I haven't yet. So without really being able to have a stance or any kind of background on it that I can point to, I have a hard time really getting into that kind of after action analysis kind of thing. The piece on him in the New Yorker in 2013. All right, I'll check that out, Acer. Yeah, Hooples, but it's relevant. I mean, it's depending on how things go, it might be pretty relevant for how the socio-political situation shapes up here soon. Oh, come on now, Hooples. That's not very nice. Those are my two main things. Well, Hooples, I won't say that I'm looking forward to the debate, but I am looking forward to your Thursday fun with it clipped in. I got to say, your political clipping cracks me up. Shall I say the way that you edit your videos with the politicians clipped in? Hilarious. Oh yeah, I remember who that is. You mentioned him in one of your videos before, or pointed him out. Yeah, I remember at least the face of Yang. Yeah, no, it's good stuff, Ooples. Always appreciated. Well, I think it might be about time for me to wrap it up tonight. I got to work tomorrow, and it's about the time period that I planned on doing this one in. So it's been a good chat. You guys definitely gave a lot of really good input here. Probably pretty soon, Hooples. I actually did go up and visit the tiny home this weekend, but by the time uh, after I got through to all the hiking and stuff that we did and got down to the tiny home, it was dark out, didn't get any videoing done, and it was not necessarily ready for being videotaped. But plan on going up there pretty soon. Probably what I mean would be more informative to most people, besides just showing the mini home, would be explaining the design of it and sharing how, even just sharing the blueprint of it, because I did draw the blueprint myself. I think I have it somewhere around here. But I would be able to just share the basic, material list and how to build for yourself or something like that. It actually is, not blowing my own horn, because it was definitely majorly designed with the help of my dad and grandpa. But I was surprised by how simple, cheap, and easy it is to throw something together that is a very sustainable and efficient type of home. I think now I was working at a lumber supply yard at the time, getting a pretty nice discount. But I do believe that a person could build a very well insulated little mini home for well under $10,000. I would say under $5,000 if it was done right. Big enough to support a few people if they were willing to be pretty cozy in there together. Land of the Giants clips ready to go. Oh, God. Is that a Tyler being a dwarf joke? Anyways, yeah, I do plan on doing the mini home. I'm going to be going up there to grab my wood stove because it's definitely something I want to have near me, and it's not being used up there. And when I'm there, I want to do the mini home video and a couple other things. So, yeah, hopefully we'll see it soon. If nothing else, I'll just do a little video talking about it with some pictures that I have available already. So, yep, I figured as much, Hooples. All right, well, thanks for being here. Appreciate all the good info. And, yeah, it definitely a tough topic. It's hard to know what's going to be coming in the next 20 years, but I think you guys definitely covered it very well. Prepper's daughter definitely has herself covered, being she's a surgical technologist, Hooples, so she is in with the medical crowd, if you will, helping with surgery and stuff. So she should be set pretty much no matter what for a while. I'm definitely looking at what I should do if I get a little bit of education. But hey, Jim Beer, thanks for listening in. Didn't see a chat, but thanks for lurking. I can look after the babies while she works. That's my plan. It's always been my life goal to be a stay-at-home dad. Yep. Just kidding. But no, I actually have the opportunity to do a little bit of advanced education again. So part of this is looking at what I might want to do myself. I definitely have YouTuber considerations, trying to make a little bit of online business if I end up trying to do that. But aside from that, I definitely want to be looking at what other things are beneficial for a person in the future. So anyways, I do plan on digesting what we have here and making a little bit of an actual video covering what I think would be some good skill sets for the future. So hopefully we can see this all coming back in the future. I appreciate your guys' input on that. All right. Well, I appreciate you guys dropping in and chatting and stuff and sharing your input. Definitely really good input here. Anyways, hope you're all doing well. Probably plan on doing this again here soon. Next couple projects are probably going to be a couple of smaller videos that I have going on, little item or idea videos. And then I'm going to be getting into the prepper terminology and bug outs, why they're crazy for most people and why most people have a messed up idea about what bugging out or reacting to SHTF will be like. A little bit of something that Hooples and I have going on. So stay tuned for that. Hope you're all doing well out there. I'm going to wrap this up now. Say your good nights. Appreciate you all being in here. Appreciate your input. And I hope you're all doing well out there. Oh, you've done the intro video? That's good. Yeah, I've got a couple of groundwork videos I want to do, just talking about what is a SHTF and what is a bug out, what is a bug out bag, and then really getting into why it's a suicide mission for most people. So, very cool. I'm glad that we got a little bit of a not doing that. Cool. All right. Yeah. No, I definitely looking forward to it. So, all right. Well, thank you, Hooples, everybody, for dropping in. Everybody stay safe out there, and we'll see you in the next one or in the comments. Everybody, have a good night.